Welcome in, everybody, to the season finale, if you will, of the Fantasy Football Power Hour presented by the SBFFC. We are here live on a Friday night. Hopefully, you join us too. It's playoff edition, and we are going to be talking about that all night tonight. I am Seth Burchett, the Phoenix Rocket, joined with my partners in crime for most Friday nights, Mr. Chuck Ellis, and the founder commissioner of the creator of the Southern Bluegrass Fantasy Football Championship, the SBFFC, Mr. Brian Harwood. Dr. Harwood, guys, how the heck are you tonight?
Good, sir. How are you doing this evening?
It's hard to be bad on a Friday night when you're talking some fantasy football. I know that's a cliche line. I use it every week, but it's true. I mean, I get to sit and talk football, and I love that. No football on right now. I usually have some game on in the background because my TV's behind my setup, and I'm looking straight at it. So I've got some NBA on tonight. I'm a degenerate. I almost put on like some college wrestling just because I wanted something on in the background. So I put on Cleveland and Philadelphia. So that's what we're doing tonight.
It's a good show, and we've got a lot planned for tonight, and there's going to be a lot of talk around the player props, and I was horrible last week at betting the player props. I think the only one I hit was Brian Thomas's under for the yardage, and I couldn't seem to get anything going.
Did he hit the over on any week? I think he was under most weeks.
He was under most weeks, and I've actually bet his over on the prop for the regular season yardage, so I got a little bit of revenge. I got a little bit of money back, but everything is going well, and we the one and done fantasy contest I'm running my fantasy league is doing really good, and the one per team contest is I've got a good team in that still, and what my mistakes were that George Kittle got hurt, and the other one I picked Rico Dowdell over Hubbard, so that kind of cost me, but I'd really be sitting in the driver's seat if I had Coker over McMillan, but McMillan did very well too. So, but it's all good. It's all good.
If you're in your contest, did anybody actually take Coker? I mean,
no.
No. So that I don't think you lose a whole lot in that situation. I'm in a one and done, and I'm currently sitting in third place, 4 points behind the leader. So
how many people's in that one, Seth?
About 95, I think, is what the final total was on that. 95 entries. It's not 95 people because you could do multiple entries in this one. And I did 2, and one of my lineups is sitting pretty in third place, and the top 3 places cash. So if the team did today, I would cash, but I feel pretty good about my chances moving forward.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about the one you and I drafted last week too.
Yeah. The only thing I wish we could do differently is pick up players when someone got injured. I wish we could do that, but or at least same team, same position. I don't know, but that's neither here nor there. That's why it's fantasy football.
Yep, that's why it's gambling.
Well, but you did the right thing instead of doing more than one entry, because in a contest like average one per team, there's a lot of teams you can pick between 2 players. You can diversify in the portfolio,
right.
And so you can win a pretty good pool. So I'm proud that you're hanging in there. What players may make it happen for you to win this thing?
Well, I mean, I lost the course. So the structure of this format that I'm playing in, this is a local deal with some. I got into it through some people that I work with, and it's 2 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, 3 receivers, 2 tight ends, 2 kickers, and a defense. And so I did. The Houston defense helped me out a lot. I had them because, as we talked about on this show the last few weeks, and Chuck has sold me on Houston, that I made sure to go with the Houston defense because I just didn't love a whole lot other than that. I need Ramondre Stevenson to have a big week. I think that would be because I'm one of the few people that actually have him. And so if he has a huge week, I think that will help me quite a bit.
Okay. Does a lot of other contestants have Travion Henderson? Do you know?
I think most people either went from what I could tell, because he releases all the lineups, you can kind of look at everybody's lineup. And from what I could tell, most people either had Henderson, May, or Hunter Henry.
Okay. So if you're in the minority, then that's what you've got to root on for you to win this contest. Because I don't know how many people he's paying out, but at 95, he's paying top 3. That's it.
Top 3 pay.
Well, then you've got to have Henderson.
First place is a 50% split, and then I think it's what is it? I want to say like 25 or 35 and 10 or something like that. There's a percentage split, but I know first place gets half.
Yeah, I think last week if you were a team that used, or you were a person that used the Houston's defense as your player, and also people who used Colston Loveland last week.
I got Loveland in there as well.
Yeah, you guys are probably doing really well then.
And I think the thing is if you're in the top 10 of any of these one player per team type games, Chuck, I think the one guy that you have to be successful is Puka, because I think everybody has had Puka. I did look, what I found interesting, no one at all has anybody from the Seahawks other than JSN.
Yeah.
Nobody took a flyer on Darnold or one of the running backs or anything like that. Everybody just down the board had JSN. And I think that's the only team that was like that.
So
that makes him a scratch.
So that's makes him a scratch. So, and I think he'll get beat tomorrow. So,
I mean, he very well may. And if that's the case, then maybe you waste one of those spots. But I mean, I went kicker on 2 losing teams, which is kind of by design. I took Pittsburgh's kicker and I took Carolina's kicker. I took the Houston defense, so I was riding them, and I don't know that they're going to have the same performance. I have to imagine they're not, but that was very helpful. And other people had Nico. Now, the thing that's unique about this draft or this playoff format is the guy that runs it will let you pick. If a player's ruled out, you can pick another player, but it has to be same position, same team. So, in other words, if you had Nico, you could take Christian Kirk or somebody like that. Or if you had Kittle, you're obviously going to take Tungus. But yeah, so there are some people that had Nico, but they didn't get many points from him this week because he was out. So, and same thing with Kittle.
Yeah, that game this weekend, the Texans and Patriots game, that's going to be a really good game. I love Houston's defense. I've been talking about them for, probably 2 months now. But seeing a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers as a defense who's 44, 45 years old, basically hangs out in the pocket, you can be really aggressive on the edges and come straight at him. They're going to have to play a little more disciplined against Drake May, because if those ends get up the field really fast, May can step up in the pocket. Houston plays a lot of man-to-man coverage. There could be some big runs for Drake May in this game. So that front four from Houston's got to play disciplined football.
Well, the thing about Drake May, though, to counter that, just watching the game this past week, he doesn't do a great job of protecting the football. Nope. He fumbled a couple times. He tries to get it out there when he's going down, and that will lead to a fumble here or there. He had a couple of those this past week. And so, if you're somebody like me that's relying on the Houston defense, and not a lot of people pick the Houston defense, by the way, so that's one that could potentially help me. But Drake May is a guy, I love him. I think he's the future franchise guy of the NFL, like the future face of the NFL. But I also think he is young and he's trying to make too much happen sometimes, and that will get him in trouble. And it almost got him in trouble this past week. In their game, because he fumbled a couple times and almost, I mean, I don't think it was in a case that it was going to cost him the game, obviously, but in a tight game, you can't be doing that. You just can't give up the ball in any of those situations. Sometimes it's best to take the sack, and that's football.
Agreed. There's nothing wrong with with punting on fourth down and letting the defense play coverage. I'm real interested in that game. That game's going to be outdoors in New England. That game could be a little more low scoring than people might anticipate it being.
Seth, you want some good news about Ramondre Stevenson?
I'd love some good news about Ramondre Stevenson.
Well, all right, get this. And you're going to think this is very minute, but I want you to place a bet, okay? You invested $20 on this contest, $20?
Okay. Yes.
All right. I want you to go bet $20 on Ramondre Stevenson over the 18.5 receiving yards.
Okay.
I think he's going to get 25 plus receiving yards.
Well, he very well may, because he's the check down guy a lot of times.
Okay. He's had 22 plus yards in 6 straight games receiving. Last week he had 75 receiving yards against the Chargers. Houston has given up 25 yards individual running backs in 8 out of its last 9 games. Kansas City failed to do it. And, Kansas City, they've got Jahmyr Gibbs and John Robbins on the roster. Houston, and I'm being sarcastic there, Houston allowed the 14th most yards per game to running backs in the regular season. If you can get that number at 22.5 yards or less, bet it, and then win your money. Then then this contest is free for you.
That's a good strategy. I mean, that's what we call in the gambling world hedging your bets.
Yeah. So I'm all for.
I'm all for stuff like that. I'm all for. I don't know what his rushing and receiving total is, but I love that as a category. I want to bet this past week using Chuba Hubbard in that with an over rushing and receiving. And so I love stuff like that. I think that's an opportunity to kind of cheat the system, if as it were. But not like the college basketball guys. Don't cheat the system like that, because
my gosh, that's crazy.
Then the feds will come knocking down your door, and we certainly don't like that. The Mrs. Rocket would not like that very much. So we're trying to avoid that at all costs.
Okay, guys, I'd like to make a confession right here, right now on the show.
Family show, Dr. Harwood. Just remember that.
Our winter benchmarks at my elementary school came out today, and for reading and math. And yes, I'm guilty of point shaving. I bet on my students. I apologize for that. I did make a profit, but it was at the students' expense, and so there was some point shaving involved in some of the test scores. So I'd like to take this opportunity to confess and apologize for that.
Well, all right, moving along then. We let's talk about some of these games coming up tomorrow. We have a full slate of games really the next 2 nights. Tomorrow, Bills and Broncos, 49ers, Seahawks. First up, Bills, Broncos. It's at Denver. Denver's the number 1 seed. Is this team for real? Are they going to be able to hold their own against a team that almost lost? Didn't. They picked it up late with a couple of Josh Allen rushing touchdowns. So if you're a prop person, Josh Allen rushing touchdowns is always a good bet. I think each week, if you're going to do a parlay, that's never a bad one to throw in there. But that Denver defense is pretty good. Buffalo doesn't have a ton to throw to, although it looked like Josh Allen likes Shakir again. Maybe that changes. I hope it doesn't for the team we drafted's sake. And Dalton Kincaid, I mean, that's kind of the 2 guys. They did lose the receiver for Shaver, I think is his name. So they lose him, but Chuck, is Buffalo for real? Is Denver for real as the number 1 seed, or can Buffalo go in there and spoil their number 1 seed?
Well, I've been waiting for this all year, guys. Our first podcast we all went around a room and predicted who we thought would be in the Super Bowl. And my Super Bowl pick was the Denver Broncos and Seattle Seahawks. With that being said, you got a really, really, really young quarterback going against a quarterback that's been here quite frequently the last couple years. And I don't know. Josh Allen's different. Any game he's playing in the playoffs, he's going to be in, and I it's going to be hard for me to bet against Josh Allen this week, even against anybody. So I don't know if Denver's going to beat them. I really don't. I think Buffalo comes out of Denver with a win.
Well, Dr. Harwood, I mean, it feels like a safe bet to bet on Josh Allen, at least until the conference championship. Now, that's always been his kryptonite. But he's also always ran into the Pat Mahomes of the world. Is he going to be, first of all, is that a good bet to bet on the Buffalo Bills to make it to the conference championship? And is this a year that he gets over the hump? Because the way I see it, if he doesn't get it done this year without Mahomes in the playoffs, without having to contend with Lamar and some of those upper echelon talented quarterbacks, if he doesn't get it done this year, I don't know that he's ever going to get it done.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. You know, the Buffalo Bills have the experience, and I think the experience is going to run true in the playoffs this season. It's going to continue, and I believe that the Bills are going to get the win. I also like Josh Allen over 207.5 passing yards. I also like Bo Nix to throw an interception. I also like that. I also like, get this, James Cook to get under 76.5 rushing yards. Because
the defense is stout.
Yep.
Well, I know that he's totaled 35 rushes for 120 rushing yards for 3 yards per carry in tough match against Jacksonville and Philadelphia the last 2 full games. Denver gave up the second fewest adjusted and the second fewest rushing yards per game and yards per carry and attempt to run back in the regular season. The only person to rush for 77 yards or more against Denver this season, Jonathan Taylor, week 2.
Was that the week that he scored like 3 touchdowns and went crazy?
That was not that. No. It was, well, no, that was a little bit early in the year, but
I knew it was early. I couldn't remember who it was against.
Okay, well, it was overseas, and
it was probably the Titans.
Everybody, listen. I think we could get about 70 yards on the Titans.
No, the Rams ran over the Titans week 2. Because I was battling some illness that week, physically, mentally, and emotionally. But that week that John Taylor did get those yards. So it was on, it was just on it was a road game, and John Taylor, he had 165 rushing yards. So that was a major outlier on that. And just think about it. 16 out of 17 games. 77 yards or 76 yards or less.
Yeah, I hear that, but also at the same time, one of the things that I'll counter with is it's the playoffs, and it feels like, this isn't a Houston-Pittsburgh situation, Chuck, where Aaron Rodgers is old, he's immobile, he's a sitting duck. Like, we knew that going in. This feels a little bit different just because Buffalo is just one of those teams that, statistics be damned, it doesn't really matter because they've got a franchise quarterback that is capable of putting them on their shoulders. Now, we're talking about rushing here, but if you're throwing the ball effectively, if you've got a quarterback that's mobile and moving around, it can open up the run game. And I'm not saying that's going to happen, and it very well may be the case that James Cook doesn't get a ton of yards. It might be the case that Ray Davis cuts into some of those and the under hits. But I just feel like this is one of those situations where even though Denver's defense is really, really good, one of the best in the league this year, it feels like a situation where it's like a trap game where, I could see this not even being close.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. And it feels like Denver hasn't played in like 6 months. And these guys sit out and then they start, they could come out flat. They didn't play last week. And Buffalo played. They were in a tough contest, and you can just see it. Josh Allen refuses to lose. I don't know. I agree. I think Denver has a really strong chance of being eliminated as the number 1 seed this week.
I would strongly would agree with you on that. And going back to my one and done games I'm doing is I'm fading Bills this week. I'm gonna pick a lot more Houston Texans. I'm gonna pick a lot more Denver Broncos. I'm gonna be picking RJ Harvey. I'll be picking Woody Marks. Christian Kirk will be a good one. It's it's one of those things like Bo Nix. I may use Bo Nix this week just to get him out of the way because I think he's going to lose. He might have put up a decent stat line, but I think Denver is going to lose. I just don't think they've got the experience that that Buffalo has, and I think I may use a Cortland Sutton to go along with Bo Nix just to get them guys out of the way because you can only use a guy one time and that's it. So I'm looking for the Bills to get the win this week.
Let's do this before we hit a break. Let's all pick the game and then pick a bet that we like, whether that be points or a prop bet. I know Harwood, I think you've kind of gone on record with yours is James Cook under 78.5 yards. In terms of the game, you're picking the Bills, correct?
In terms of the Bills, yes. The Bills are the team I'm going to pick. Yes.
Chuck, who do you like here in terms of the game, and is there a prop bet that you like?
I like the Bills, and obviously it's hard to not bet on a Josh Allen anytime touchdown. It's really hard not to bet on that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm gonna go. So I'm gonna give one that I'm probably not gonna bet myself. So just understand. Hey, first, bet at your own risk. Only bet what you're comfortable losing. That we are not professionals by any stretch of the imagination. So don't take this to heart and message and say, "Oh, you told us to bet this and you were wrong." I'm gonna throw out a crazy prop. But first, I think the Bills too. I would probably take the 1.5. Because if you think they're going to win, take the 1.5 because that gives you a little bit of breathing room if they don't, if it's a really close game. I like Marvin Mims over 2.5 rushing yards because they love to run him around the end. They love to give him the ball quick. 2.5 yards, not a lot. And the fact that he is on the sheet with a prop tells me that somebody knows he's going to get the ball running it at some point. And I think an end around for 4 yards is good enough to cash. As crazy as that sounds, 2.5 yards, but I love to find smaller props like that if it's somebody that gets one reception, if their over under is a half, reception, I love to look for those and try to find some sort of statistic that makes me feel better about it, whether it be they've given up this many receptions to a tight end or this many yards to a receiver. Though I love to find those because I think those are some of the best bets. You just really have to do your research on. Right now, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to pay some love to our sponsor over at Trophy Smack. When we come back, we will look at the remaining 3 games, talk some prop bets, and more. You're watching the Fantasy Football Power Hour presented by the SBFFC on the TN2M network of shows. Be back in a minute after a word from our sponsors. That was Trophy Smack. Check them out, trophysmack.com. It is championship season, especially for fantasy football. And if you're looking for a trophy, a ring, a belt, a helmet, a pendant, chain, a jersey, whatever you need, they've got it over there at Trophy Smack. Check them out, trophysmack.com, and tell them the SBFFC sent you. Moving ahead, the second game, the nightcap tomorrow night, 49ers Seahawks. I think this is going to be the closest game on the slate. I think this game is going to come down to the wire. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I know, and maybe I shouldn't be saying that. I know Sam Darnold popped up on the injury report here a couple of days ago. That worries me a little bit. But taking a look at it, Chuck, what are you thinking about this matchup? Who do you like? What props do you like? And all of the above.
Well, in this game, I like San Francisco in this game, but I'm a little nervous. Fred Warner out, Jair Brown out. I think Seattle could run the ball in this game a little bit. I think they're going to have to run the ball with with Darnold popping up on the injury report for a reason. But to me, I'm going with the best player in the game, and the best player in this game is Christian McCaffrey. And stars show up when the spotlight's on them, and I expect a big game out of McCaffrey against a really good defense. I'm going with San Francisco here, and I'm going with McCaffrey for at least 60-plus rushing yards.
Dr. Harwood, taking a look at this matchup, you've got a team in San Francisco that feels like they have lost everybody at some point in the season. They know how to play without George Kittle. He is out, but that's business as usual for them. It feels like George Kittle misses 3, 4, 5 games each year. It obviously does not come at a great time right now. However, Seattle's number 1 seed, and if Darnold plays and he's anything that he has been this season, does it feel like that they can pull it out and be the only number 1, by predictions at least, that the only number 1 seed that pulls it out? Or do you think they're fake news, I guess, as a number 1 seed?
Well, we're losing Kittle, but we're gaining Ricky Pearsall back. I've got McCaffrey rushing about 70 receiving yards as well. Kittle, a lot of times they don't win or lose based on George Kittle, and then Sam Darnold's got an injury. He was questionable today. I don't know if it's.
I just saw because I've got this NBA game on just to have some sports on behind me. I'm not a big NBA fan, but what I will say is I just saw flash across the screen that they're optimistic he will play tomorrow. The fact that we're using terms like optimistic worries me.
Well, it's an oblique injury, so that's just a pain management thing. You just got to play through the pain.
He's going to have to deal with it and move on.
Yeah.
Well, but does he have the pedigree to do that? Does he have what's in up here to do that? Pain is temporary, pride is forever. He's going to have to push past it and get over that. But there again, I don't think Seattle's got enough experience to last with the 49ers. Brock Purdy is probably one of the top 2 or 3 hottest quarterbacks in the last month. I talked to my friend Anthony Grubbs about this, and he says it's hard to beat experience in the playoffs. Yes, Seattle is the favorite. They're -7. And everybody's picking them on the money line. They're picking them on the spread and everything. But I just think everybody just needs to step back, take a pause of, can Darnold play under an injury and pressure he's got until Seattle can win a big game with Smith and Jigba and Darnold quarterbacking. I'm going to go the 49ers here. And plus 268 in the money line, boys.
Yeah, I mean, so far we've liked the dogs here. I also like San Francisco. I think I would just take the spread and go with the +7, which is what FanDuel has it at right now. I tend to use FanDuel, I think, a little bit more than the others. But I'm going to go with my prop for an anytime touchdown for Jake Tungus. I think they like to use the touchdown or to use the tight ends, especially when they're in the red zone. Tungus is a guy that has proven to be productive in the time that he gets. He's plus 300 right now on FanDuel for a touchdown. And so I think at any time Tungus touchdown would be my prop, especially if you're trying to put, some sort of parlay together. Maybe you're doing a prop per parlay or prop per game parlay type situation. I think to boost your odds, I think a Tungus touchdown makes all the sense in the world. They love to throw to the tight end. Tight ends, whether it be Kittle, whether it be Tungus, have been very productive in this San Francisco offense. They love to use the tight ends. Shanahan does. And so for me, I would go with the Tungus touchdown at plus 300. And I think the 49ers will win, but I think I would play it safe and go with the points.
Well, I'm going to say I'm trying to look around for maybe something that might be a little bit better odds. DraftKings has got 300 as well, for that game. But here's a bet for this one. I'm on Circa Sports, one of the SBFFC sponsors from this season, and Circa Sports has got a better odd than FanDuel. Jake Tongus plus 325 on Circa.
Yeah, I mean, I've not done Circa Sports until they offer a promo that I like. I don't know that I will, and I know they're a sponsor, and I probably shouldn't say that, but I've been on almost every one of those sports books for a promo. When they offer a promo, I'll jump in. That's just me, but I don't know that I'll jump over there just for plus 25 on a anytime touchdown.
That's well, okay. So if you're betting 100. Let's say we got that. Well, you wouldn't bet 100 on that touchdown, but
no, I would not bet 100 on the touchdown. No,
like a lot of times I'll bet 50, and I'd be winning $162 instead of 150. So that's a little bit of a bonus, but I understand what you're saying about the boost, and I think boosts are good to have. I mean, I made a couple of really big boosts myself. Guys, you go over on Bet365 right now. I saw something this morning. Matt Cranston pulled it out to me, is that they have something over a half a yard passing plus 100. I was able to bet $50 on that with the Bills and Broncos.
Wow.
Bet 365. There's a boost right there. And so, and then with Circa, here's something for you. I mean, I know you love your parlays, and Chuck, I'm getting ready to ask you how to cook your successful parlays. Your parlays are about as good as Christy's soup over there, and cooking that carcass. I can't pronounce it. That board she cooks for food on for the draft. You do. They've got McCaffrey and Smith and Jigba plus 280 to both score a touchdown. Does that happen?
So they both have to score it to get the points or to win the bet, or is it one or the other?
It's got to be both of them, McCaffrey and Smith and Jigba.
I would stay away from that.
Yeah, I just don't know about Smith and Jigba. McCaffrey's, I don't want to say lock, but he's going to touch the ball 60-70% of the time in that offense. So there's always a chance that he can score anytime.
Now, another Circa parlay, I know we've already talked about this game. Josh Allen and R.J. Harvey both score a touchdown. Both, it's 265 plus 265.
I'd have more confidence in that one than Jackson Smith and Jigba and McCaffrey.
See what
before we get off of here tonight, guys, we need to build a parlay, like a three-leg parlay for our listeners. Or our viewers, I guess. I'm still in radio mode a little bit. For our viewers on that they can potentially play, like 3 plays we really like for the weekend. And maybe we all play it. I don't know. But I think that's something we need to do before we go tonight. So, Chuck, you're kind of the parlay king here, and you've had a lot of luck. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean that derogatory. I mean, you have to have luck to win when you're sports betting.
Yep.
What do you look for when you start to build a parlay? What are the things that you're looking for? What are you looking to put in there? What are things that you avoid when you're starting to build a parlay?
Well, the first thing I avoid are games that are in bad weather conditions. I eliminate those first. And then I tend to stay away from interdivisional games. Because when you get in rivalries and interdivision games, they typically are played a lot harder and they're a lot lower scoring. So I kind of look for games where right out of the gate, if you take a glance at it, you're like, this game has a potential for being a high score. So then I start betting in there. And I don't go for, the Hail Mary. I try to build with stuff that there's a 70% chance that it could happen. For example, let's say we'll just pick Brock Purdy. Most people will go in there and see, if Brock Purdy, throws 250 yards, it's a plus 150. I would be more on the lines to go down to, like a Brock Purdy 175 or 200 plus, where he's at like a minus 115, and build my bankroll with 5 or 6 of those, where you have a 75% chance of winning one of those, instead of putting all your money in 3 or 4 Hail Mary bets where all of them got to hit. So I just try to make the most consistent play there. We know most of the time Brock Purdy's going to throw for 200 yards. So you want to grab that. Christian McCaffrey is probably going to rush for 50 yards. Hey, let's grab that while we're in there. James Cook is probably going to run for 50 yards. Bam, let's grab that one while we're in there. So that's the way I build them. I use percentages. I pick the ones where I'm positive that they have a chance to hit that.
Well, and to contrast that, I know Dr. Harwood, you're more of a straight prop guy. At least a lot of the bet slips I've seen from you. You do a lot of, hey, I'm going to play, these 3 props. I'm not going to play them in a parlay. I'm going to play them each separately. What do you look for when you're placing your bets?
Well, I like to share too first that I developed my love of prop bets in Las Vegas with the living legend of fantasy football, Matt Krantz. When we had to actually go up to the pay window, as Dusty Rhodes were to say, at the sports book and place our prop bets, we had to look on a sheet of paper to do it. And prop bets have really evolved so much to now you could bet on prop bet on, whenever Dr. Hart's going to take his first shot of bourbon, the SBFFC. and so in terms of the parlays, I kind of I've got a couple of sources I use. I mean, I always like, go about 70% of the expectations of what they're going to do. Like say if Smith and Jig is going to get 100 of receiving yards, kind of set the bar at 70 and, to start going from there. And, I've found my best bet is betting parlays on Bet365 and FanDuel because they have the best odds, but DraftKings sometimes gives the best promotion. What I've also seen in parlays, I look at, are either one of you, I don't know, Caesar Sports may not have Maryland access, but I know they do in Kentucky. There's a lot of times Caesars will get a parlay, like say Josh Allen and Jared Goff will both throw for 300 yards Monday night. And I've bet quite a bit of those. Some people call them scam bets or sucker bets, but I look at my fantasy football projections, fantasy points, football guys, draft sharks, things of that nature. And I do my research where I just jump in and make the bet. So for example, tomorrow, I'm looking at Caesars right now, and I'm looking at 49ers and Seahawks. This is right away. I'll look at their parlay and what they've got, and then I'll look back at my sources, and if it matches, if all 3 match, I'm playing it. No ifs, ands, or buts. So
you're almost playing the sports books against each other, kind of.
Well, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to get my fantasy projections in order.
Yeah.
And then see what will happen, and then make the bet based on that. So, like I was telling you about, Chuck, you kind of like the Josh Allen and the RJ Harvey parlay. Okay. Josh Allen has a 74% chance of scoring a touchdown rushing. RJ Harvey, he has a 23% chance. Now that's not that good of a odds. But then you go Christian McCaffrey. No, I'm sorry, RJ Harvey, 23% as a receiving touchdown. Rushing touchdown goes up to 67%. That's 2 out of 3 times.
Yep.
Christian McCaffrey, 40% chance of rushing touchdown, 34% receiving. And then I'm going to go to Jackson Smith and Jigba, who could get a long catch for a touchdown, 60% chance. So the RJ Harvey and the Allen bet is more likely that I'm going to play that because they're both above 60%.
Well, I'm the one that loses the most money of the three of us. And you all have seen my bets. I'm the Hail Mary guy.
The Hail Mary, because you want to go for that big lottery ticket payday.
I love lottos. I love, big odd. But when I build them, I don't build them in the Hail Mary sense that I'm just throwing stupid stuff out there.
You study, man. My
lottos are a lot of kind of a combination of what you both said. Is I kind of look at percentages, but I'll also back off like what the prop is. So if it's a guy to get 53.5 yards, I might bet him at 40. And I put a bunch of those together, and then I try to find one thing that has high odds and throw in there. So, like for this, if I do a parlay for tomorrow, my high odds prop in my parlay would probably be Tungus for an anytime touchdown. And so everything else is going to be minus 240, minus 250, like things like that I think are very reasonable. I just put them all together and hope they all hit, and that's how I like to play. I live on the edge. I'm not reckless or careless, but I just like excitement. And but I will tell you this, you got to be strong because there's been a couple times that I know you all have gotten a lot of expletives in the group chat for me because of I need 3 yards would cost me $500 or something like that. And so I like big odds. I like to try to get the most return for the least amount of money, especially when you're trying to build a bankroll, which I need to do again. I've not done that in a while. And so you really need to try to build that bankroll. And then I would back off and start playing more props and things like that. So really for me right now, I love lottos because I'm trying to build that bankroll. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to break down the Sunday games. And then, guys, do we to build a parlay, like a 3-leg parlay that we each give one that we really like? Can we do that?
Yes, and I've got one more quick bet for you. I don't want to forget this. Bet the Cooper Kupp under receiving yards this week, because I'm going to tell you why. Because Cooper Kupp has failed to hit 40 yards in 9 of his last 11 games. And you know who is guarding him?
I do not.
Upton Stout from WKU, who gives up a solid 0.25 fantasy points per run route.
Well, there's
Elijah Arroyo is out this week, and 49ers are going to stop him.
Well, there's your WKU reference for the week.
I tell you what, guys. I know we're going to go to break, but I don't typically get upset about prop bets. I had a 10-player prop bet last week for $8,000. 9 players hit. My one player that didn't hit was an anytime touchdown out of Josh Jacobs. Stuffed 3 times at the 1-yard line.
Yeah, that was awful.
And then
if he gets one of those in, that's $8,000.
And you know what else about that? And I'll say this before we go to break. If this is any other week, he gets that touchdown.
I know.
I mean, he's been one of the most reliable guys on the goal line that there's been this year. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to pay some love to our sponsor, Trophy Smack. You're watching the Fantasy Football Power Hour presented by the SBFFC here on the TN2M network of shows. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that fun stuff. If you have betting questions or general playoff questions, we can certainly help you out with that. But we will be back in a minute right here on the Fantasy Football Power Hour. That was Trophy Smack. They have been our sponsor all through the season. It is fantasy championship time, especially with fantasy football. wrapping up. Maybe you need to get a trophy for your league winner. You're not sure what to do. Maybe you're going to get a ring. Maybe you're going to get a belt. Whatever it is, they've got it over at Trophy Smack. Check them out, trophysmack.com, and tell them the SBFFC sent you. 2 games on Sunday, so we've got 2 and 2, and we are looking at the first game, Texans-Patriots. I actually think that Sunday slate is probably more entertaining. I just think the games are going to be better overall on Sunday. But Texans-Patriots, I got to tell you, Chuck, I'm not going to give too much information. I'll let you give that if you want to. And you'll know what I'm talking about here in just a second. But I'm rooting like heck for the Texans.
Yeah, man. Me too.
And you know why I'm saying that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Back in November, I made a couple of prop bets when the odds were really high. One of them being what Seth's talking about. I picked for the Super Bowl. I picked Houston and 49ers Super Bowl back in November, and right now that's going to pay out, I believe, $2,500 if they just make it there. And then I got another one floating around out there. If D'Amico Ryans gets Coach of the Year, that will tail me out $25,000. So
Have they offered cash out on that?
Not yet, but the one I do have another one with Puka. I picked him back in November. I picked all 3 of these at the same time for him, Offensive Player of the Year. That one's $750. They have offered me $100 buyout on that one now.
I would probably keep that one.
Yeah, I'm going to keep that one. Yeah. So,
but I mean, if they offered you $10,000 on the D'Amico Ryans, I might just cash it out.
I would. And the three coaches that I think have the chance at Coach of the Year are Ben Johnson, Mike Vrabel, and D'Amico Ryans.
And that's on who goes further.
That's what I'm banking on. That's why I would love to see Houston win this game and make it to the Super Bowl. And you never know what can happen.
Can I just say, Dr. Harwood, I'm going to throw some shade here. How do your Titans give up a great coach and then he just goes and balls out in New England, and now they're looking for a coach again?
Because I'll tell you exactly, because our owner is a harlot, and our owner doesn't know what she's doing. All she's worried about is a new stadium to get the CMA Fest over there and to get concerts and other events. She doesn't I want
the new stadium for a different reason, but I'll go into that in a second.
She doesn't give 2 doo-doos about the Tennessee Titans. She needs to go ahead and sell a team. I haven't trusted her in a couple of years. You know, just like Gorilla Monsoon says, she don't know a wrist lock from a wristwatch.
Or her head from a hole, or her rear end from a hole in the ground. What's the old saying there?
She is a horse's. Well,
I'm just going to say, I will say this about the coaching searches, because my team is equally as stupid, because Kevin Stefanski is going to go somewhere and he is going to be good because
he might come to Tennessee. I mean, you never know.
I mean, who knows? I mean, he's interviewed for every open job. Somebody's going to offer him a job because he's a great coach. Why the Browns let him go, I don't know. They're going to end up, I think, promoting Jim Schwartz, if I were to guess.
Yeah.
Which they don't want to lose him. That's why I think they'll promote him. But I want Tennessee to get a stadium, because if WrestleMania is an hour down the road, I'm probably going. I'm just going to say. And I've never been able to go. So it's kind of on the bucket list for me.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. If they hosted SummerSlam, they'll host the WrestleMania.
Well, I think, this is merely just things I've read and heard, is part of the reason that the city wanted the new stadium was because of WrestleMania, because of how much money it brings into a city.
Do you know how much tradition Nashville has with wrestling too?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I don't think. You know what's sad is I don't think that plays into it anymore. I don't think they care. It's how much money are they going to get out of it?
How much is it today? Yes.
Yeah.
And how much is it today? Now, I would like to say, about the Houston Texans, that's a Titans division rival. Their defense is probably the best of anybody in the playoffs. I was all over their defense, and I think that the experience can beat the Patriots, but Drake May is a special cat. This will be a close game to call, boys, and And I'm not sure if I'm ready to make a decision on that one yet. But
Well,
I
let's
would
talk
say,
through it because I'm going to make you make a decision on it here in about 5 minutes.
okay, well, it's going to I did say bet the prop with Mr. Ramondre Stevenson. I
Yep.
uh I do stand by that win, lose, or draw on that one. Um and I feel that Houston will somehow win, but the Patriots have a better offense.
Yeah, I mean the Patriots offense is better. I tend to lean Houston here because I have always been of the opinion defense wins championships.
Yes,
And
they do.
when you get a truly special defense, and I think that's what Houston has right now. When you get a truly special defense, I believe that when you have a competent enough offense, and I think they have that in Houston, I don't think it's great. They truly remind me of that 2000 Ravens team. Now, that defense is not as good as that 2000 Ravens defense, but it's good. And it's the best defense in the playoffs, and they've got a quarterback that will manage the game. He doesn't make too many bad decisions. I mean, occasionally he'll make a boneheaded decision. I do worry about Nico Collins being out. They don't have a true number one right now. Christian Kirk is probably going to be their go-to guy in the offense. Woody Marks has come on, but I tend to lean Houston here. I just think that defense is going to carry them.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I always say offense sells tickets and defense wins championships. And in the playoffs, if you can run the ball and play defense and not turn the ball over, you always have a chance. I think this is going to be a close game, like you're saying. If Houston can keep the turnovers to a minimum, I just think they have enough to beat New England. And the prop bet that I like in this game with Nico Collins being out is Jaden Higgins 4+ receptions.
I'm pulling it up now as we speak. I was actually I shouldn't have been doing it, but I was looking at a college basketball bet for tomorrow because I have what feels like a lock every week. In college
lock of the week.
Well, I'm not going to throw that out there necessarily. Harwood, what prop do you like on this game?
Anything that involves Stephon Diggs under, because he has burned me quite a few times, and I'm sick of looking at him. I'm sick.
So is he like the Lad McConkey for you? Because I hate Lad McConkey.
I feel your pain on that. I just don't know. I just don't know why he's so inconsistent, and he should know better. And but I mean, Drake May spreads it out too much. He's got many wide receivers like what Tom Brady used to have, and I just don't like Diggs in this matchup, guys.
Well, I'm gonna give you my prop. I think Houston wins, but I'm gonna give you my prop. I think I'm gonna go back. There might be a trend here. I might have a man crush on tight ends, but if you've listened to this or watched this show long enough, you know I really like Hunter Henry, and I'm gonna go anytime touchdown Hunter Henry at plus 190. He is not just the most consistent receiver for them, but I think he and Drake May have that type of connection that I don't want to call special because they're not like in love, but it just feels like anytime they need a few yards, they go to Hunter Henry. And he, I believe, is the most underrated tight end in football this year because when you look at fantasy football, and I'm talking fantasy number specifically, when you look at where he was drafted, I mean, he's a top 10 tight end that gets drafted well below so many other guys. And he's been the most consistent based on where he's drafted. And so I like him this week. He scored one last week. I think he gets another one this week.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Seth. We're talking about Houston's defense. They're able to pressure the quarterback with that front because you got Derek Singletary and Kamari Lassiter. They just shut guys down. And I don't see that being any different in this game, which is going to lead Hunter Henry as probably the leading receiver for New England this weekend. I don't disagree with you at all.
Yeah, I love Hunter Henry. There will be a team in the SBFFC next year that I draft Hunter Henry. Now, he might not be my number one tight end, depending on, how draft boards fall out. I'm going to have some Hunter Henry stock next year. I love Hunter Henry. Unless something crazy happens and they draft a guy in the first round and I'm not certain about it. But even then, I'm going to trust my gut and go with the guy that's been productive. And when you look at Hunter Henry just across the board in his career, he's always been consistent. And why he never gets love, I don't know. Maybe just because he doesn't talk much and he's not flashy, but he's great. So there's my man crush that I didn't know I had until just now.
Well, but I tell you, he is looking better. He is looking really good for this game. And Hunter Henry, he is for the fantasy playoff run, one and done. I've got him ranked as number 3 tight end this week, right below Loveland and Schultz. I think he can very easily get 50 yards, 5 catches, and a touchdown. That's 50 points, right? That's 15 points right there.
Well, let's hit the last game real quick. I think this is the highest scoring game of the weekend. Rams and Bears. I'm going to start here, guys, because I'm going to give probably the least popular opinion. I think the Bears could potentially be going to the Super Bowl. And I think every team has a scare in the playoffs. I think they had theirs last week. There's just something about them. I don't know. There's just something about them that I can't put my finger on. They get work done. They don't have anybody that is particularly a star outside of maybe Caleb Williams. They've got
Austin Loveland is rising up.
He is rising, but I wouldn't call him a star. But they don't have like the flashy receiver. They spread the ball around. Ben Johnson is an offensive genius. And I think the Rams are ripe for the picking. I mean, I know they had their scare last week too, but they're going to Chicago, and it's not going to be warm like it is in Los Angeles. Matt Stafford is old, and as someone who has arthritis, I can tell you that cold is not good for the bones.
Arthritis, yes.
And I'm not saying that's the reason I'm picking the Bears, but it just feels like it's a year for them. I don't know that I'm going to pick them to go to the Super Bowl, but it would not shock me. But I am going to pick them in this game, and I absolutely love them this week against the Rams. Chuck, what say you?
Well, you took a lot of what I was going to say away, but I think the Bears are completely feeding off the energy of their young head coach right now, and their front four on defense played a great game last week, and the Rams just look old. They look slow. If Carolina could have got any kind of a break, they would have won that game last week. Bears are hot. Their offense is cocky. They got energy. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball. Their defense is starting to play better. I do believe they're feeding off the energy of their head coach. And this is why you play for home field advantage in the playoffs. And the Rams blew that. And I think their season catches up to them this week. I think Chicago beats them.
Now, let's say the Bears and 49. Let's say if the Bears and 49ers win, would it be a home game for the Bears next week?
If the Bears and 49ers win,
I'd have to look at that.
I believe. Hang on, I'm looking here. I believe the 49ers, because the 49ers have a better record. So I believe it would be San Francisco.
Okay, because if the Bears are going to win this game, they're going to have Colston Loveland go off again like he did last week. Colston Loveland, I think, is the best and the hottest wide receiver on this team. And in order for the Bears to win, which they've got a good shot, it's got to go through Loveland. And the Rams, the Bears are going to have to get out there. They're going to start fast.
Okay, I just looked it up because I'm a moron. And if you're watching, you'll know this. Yes, it would go to Chicago. Chicago is the 2 seed. San Francisco is the 6 seed in this because they're a wild card. I don't love the way the playoffs are structured.
I don't either, but it is what it is.
Well, I'm going to say this. Chicago, I think I agree, is hungrier. And parlay possibly on Circus Sports, if you all don't think it's a sucker bet, if Puka Nacua and Colston Loveland both score a touchdown, pays out plus 500.
Still don't know that. I don't think I'd trust that either. Because Loveland is a guy that doesn't score a lot of touchdowns. He just gets a lot of targets, catches, and yards, but he doesn't score a lot.
Well, but right now, I mean, if it's a 35% chance, the odds are not in his favor. With Nacua, goes up to 60%. That's going to be man.
I'd stay away from it, but that's just my opinion. Let's pick a quick prop from this game, guys, and then we'll give our 3-leg parlay for the weekend of games. Harwood, I'm going to start with you because I feel like you already have one ready to go, and it probably involves Colston Loveland.
Well, let's see. We're going to cook up a little something here. I think Cooper Kupp, I think the sure thing, and he's going under his receiving. And does it have to be a same game parlay, or can it be just
no? Well, right now I'm just saying give a prop for this game, and then we're going to build our parlay together.
Oh, prop for this game. Okay, well, I do truly believe that it's going to be hard to predict a parlay. I just feel that Caleb Williams gets over the 217.5 passing yards because he's going to need that in order to win.
I'm going to give my prop, Chuck. I don't know if you got one ready to go. Mm-hmm. I like Kyle Monungai over 36.5 rushing yards. I mean, they rotate series. They're back and forth, and I like Kyle Monungai over 36.5 rushing yards.
I like Matt Stafford plus 225 passing yards. He's going to have to throw for deep in the 200s to win. This is going to be a high-scoring game.
All right, guys, let's build our parlay. I'm going to go first, give you guys time to think of what you want to throw in this, and I'm actually building it on FanDuel so I can give everybody what the actual odds are on it, at least on FanDuel. I'm going Hunter Henry over 3.5 receptions. I really like that. I think he's the check down guy. I think he is the safety blanket, safety net for Drake May, and I think he gets 4 to 5 receptions, and I think he hits that over.
Let's go to I'm going to go to the Rams in Chicago. Pass yards, 220 over Stafford, 200 total for Mr. Caleb Williams.
Well, hold on, Harwood. We're building a 3-leg parlay. We're each giving one.
Oh, okay. So you're done with yours now, or are you still going?
Yeah, I did mine. I went Hunter Henry over 3.5 receptions.
Okay. So I've got the 2 passing yards under control there, and I think that.
So pick one for me.
My 3rd leg is going to be Mr. Colston Loveland over the 40 yards. I know that's only going to pay out plus 120.
Well, hold on. Let me backtrack. We're each just going to pick one and have one 3-leg parlay. So we each pick a leg.
Oh, we pick a leg. Okay.
Yeah, we're each just doing one leg of the parlay.
Oh,
so my leg of the parlay is Hunter Henry over 3.5 receptions. What one leg do you want to throw into this parlay?
My leg is I'm going to throw in. Let's see what Ramondre Stevenson is doing on receiving yards. I think we'll go ahead and put him in for 15 receiving yards.
15 receiving yards. All right, hold on.
Yes,
putting it in here.
Yes, sir.
All right, Chuck, what do you like?
I like Jaden Higgins 4+ receptions.
All right, Jaden Higgins 4+ receptions. I'm putting it all in here. Jaden Higgins 4+ receptions. So that puts us. Our parlay is at plus 400 on FanDuel. So Hunter Henry over 3.5 total receptions. Ramondre Stevenson 15+ rushing yards. Jaden Higgins 4+ receptions. So we've got a plus 400 parlay. We all really like those. What's funny is I think we thought we were going to spread it out, and we all went with the same game. So if you can find a boost for a same game parlay,
yes,
that'd be a great one.
Yep.
But that's what we all like. That's our parlay. I might play 10 on it myself. Just to podcast. Well, listen, that's as big as it gets right now for me. Although you might have talked me into Bet 365. We'll talk about that off air. Real quick, we're already over But let's real quick. This is our final episode. We're going to do a March Madness episode, but guys, just reflections on the year, real quick, or thoughts on the show overall, or what you're thankful for from the show. Chuck, we'll start with you.
First, I want to say it's been an honor doing this with you guys. I appreciate you letting me on every week. This has been a lot of fun for me. Seth, I've got to know you a lot better.
Yeah.
This is, and then, meeting all these new people that hop in our chats that we don't, they're just, these are random people around the world taking time out of their night to listen to us talk about something we're passionate about. And I'm extremely passionate about fantasy football. If I'm being honest, I like fantasy football more than I like the NFL. And I think fantasy football saved the NFL.
I agree.
Yep.
I'm really looking forward to doing podcasts again with you guys in the future. And again, this has been a lot of fun.
Well, I'm going to go, and Doc, I'll let you finish it off because, it's all because of you and the SBFFC and kind of your idea to do it. One of the things I'm most thankful for is it gives me opportunity to scratch an itch that I've had for a little bit. I did radio for 10 years. I did some fantasy football. I hosted a fantasy football show with Dr. Harwood on the radio.
Oh, yes.
Oh, sorry about that. I had a hiccup. And so it lets me scratch an itch. It lets me dabble in some stuff that I'm interested in with, radio. Even though it's not radio, I feel like it is because I'm using my voice. But to be able to do that, but most of all, just to strengthen bonds. Chuck, you kind of said it. We've got to know each other quite a bit more because of this, and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for Dr. Harwood and the friendship we've had for over 15 years. And this is just another extension of that. And I'm thankful for all of that because I'm just a slob from a holler in Eastern Kentucky. That's who I am. I've lived in Bowling Green longer than I lived there, but I grew up in a holler. And so for this old mountain boy to be able to be on YouTube is pretty special to me because not everybody gets out of there. And I did, and I've been successful in life. And I know this is just a show on YouTube and just a podcast, but I've really enjoyed it, and I'm just thankful to be able to do it and to be able to lend my limited expertise and my vocal cords and production skills for something that hopefully makes people happy. So that's my 2 cents. Dr. Harwood, send us off your thoughts on the year and our podcast and our show here on YouTube.
Well, the goal next season is to get some sponsors in here to make the show a lot better, kind of widen the fan base somewhat. And I really enjoy the camaraderie we've all had. Like Antoine Lindsay, who won the SBFFC Power Hour Fantasy League. He's gonna get the nice belt, and he's gonna come up and give you and Chuck hugs and high fives and fist bumps because he's a loyal listener and watcher of this show every week. And then you got the First Lady, Christy Ellis. She tells it like it is. She's just like Jesse's Body Ventura. Thank you for the podcast. They've been great. And I want the SBFFC community to get closer together, which I feel I've done that with a lot of the chats we've had over the last few weeks and months. And we're just going to continue that. We're going to just grow and, have some things happen. And thankful for you boys for supporting me. And I just want to provide a voice for fantasy football players that they may not otherwise have, with, Brandon Murchison. He's a rising talent in the fantasy football industry. I like to, kind of take a little credit helping him along. And it also proves that SBFFC owners, we are just as good owners, if not better, than anybody in the industry.
Well, and one other special shout out I want to give here, if I might. I want to give a shout out to Captain Chris, who is the owner of this YouTube page that has. I've checked it before we went on today, and he has there's 145,000 subscribers on this YouTube page, and we get the chance to talk fantasy football. Now, 100,000 of those may not care at all about football, but the fact that we have that access it does not go unnoticed. And special thanks to him. I don't know if he gives his last name on his stuff, so I'm not going to throw it out there. But he's Captain Chris on Twitter and X or whatever it is. But allowing us to come on this YouTube channel to do it and have access to his audience. Certainly, he did not have to do that, but he did. As he wants to grow his channel, and so saw this as an opportunity to have some more sports, because he's not really a sports guy, and so he saw this as an opportunity and allowed us to come on. And so very thankful for that as well, because otherwise we just started a random YouTube channel and had about 8 followers. So the fact that we're on such a large YouTube channel,
Yes.
I feel like is a blessing, and so very thankful for that, and didn't want to end the final show without thanking him personally. We're close friends, he and I are, and just wanted to send a thank you for that as well. That's going to do it for the season. We're going to do a March Madness show. We're going to do a baseball show, Harwood. Did we talk about that or no?
That I would like to do one. I would like to. It happens around the same time March Madness baseball coming in here, and would definitely
maybe we'll have a couple back-to-back weeks, maybe a March Madness and a baseball show. We'll talk brackets, and then we'll talk some fantasy baseball. Anthony Grubbs, I'm coming for you this year. That's going to do it for us this week and this season. Thank you to everybody who listened, who commented, who liked the channel, who subscribed to this channel. Because of us, I don't know how many people actually did, but if you subscribe to this channel and it's because of us, thank you very much. That means so much to us that you thought enough of us to subscribe to the channel and help them grow their channel as they have helped us grow this show. That is going to do it for the season. To send it out with one of the most famous broadcasters of all time, everybody, and for the upcoming playoff season. This has been the final episode of the season of the Fantasy Football Power Hour presented by the SBFFC. For Chuck, for Dr. Harwood, I am the Phoenix Rock Seth Burchett saying good night and good luck.
So long for now.